Good afternoon, ladies, and thank you for joining us in Far Above Rubies today. I'm so glad that each of you are here. Today we are diving into Romans chapter 9, verses 16 through 33, and that is your reading challenge. Romans chapter 9, verses 16 through 33. I'm going to focus for just a moment on verse 20, and I'm paraphrasing just a slight bit, but it says, "Who are you, a mere human being, to argue with God? To say to him, why have you made me like this?" Ladies, we are bombarded by our culture, by society, by the media, everything and everyone around us telling us that we are imperfect, that we have flaws as women, that we are not good enough, that we should change ourselves, whether it's your outward physical appearance or that you should be more like her in her personality. And ladies in the church, Christian women are not exempt from these feelings of insecurity that all of that creates. We look at our sister who sits across the aisle from us in church and we think, she seems to have it together. She seems to have her kids all neatly dressed and sitting down in church. Not me. She seems to have great talent. She can sing. She can do this. She can play the piano. She can do that. Look at her go. Her organizational skills are top notch. Why don't I have that? Okay? We have these thoughts. If you're being honest with yourself right now, you have those thoughts. Why have you made me this way, God? We want to tell God that he got it wrong. God, you messed up when you made me. You gave me this, God, when you should have given me that. The scripture says, who are you, a mere human being, to argue with God, to say to him, why have you made me this way? So I ask you, were you there when he laid the foundations of the earth? Were you there when he breathed life into Adam? Were you there when he hung the moon and the stars? Were you there? Because I'm pretty sure that God did that all without you. I'm pretty sure he didn't get you wrong. If he hung the moon and the stars and the sun, if he hung the earth in the sky and made our orbits just so, to where if they were even a little tiny bit off, everything would spin out of control. If he made the mountains and the oceans and everything in the oceans, I think he didn't mess up when it came to you. Did you know that the things that sometimes you appreciate the least about yourself are the things that God will use to minister to others? You know, I love to sing. I love to sing. I don't care if I'm off or messed up. I love to sing, okay? But I always hate that I am not musically talented, as in playing an instrument. I hate it. I feel like I'm a pastor's wife and I don't play the piano. Shame on me. Shame on me, right? And yet, I have connected with other ministers' wives who don't play the piano and who have felt that same inferiority, and I've been able to look at them and say, you know what? God didn't mess up when he made us. He gave us special gifts and special talents to love people and so on and so forth that maybe he didn't give somebody else who can play the piano. They have a gift that works for them and their ministry, but we have gifts that work for us and our ministry. And so it is, my sweet sister, that the things that you feel like are holding you back, the things that you feel like are a deficit in your life, God uses those things to minister to other people. He uses those things to minister to other people. God didn't call me to play the piano. It took me a long time to understand that. That was not my calling. I wanted it. I've taken lessons. Not very good at it. But you know what God has called me to do instead? God called me to be a worshiper. Now, are those two mutually exclusive? Of course not. There are plenty of ministers' wives and women in general that both play the piano and are worshipers. However, for me, being a worshiper means involving my whole body, bringing my whole body into my worship and being demonstrative, appropriately so, being demonstrative in my worship, leading others in worship. And if I were stuck behind a piano, for me, I couldn't do what God has called me to do. So that thing that I have felt as a deficit in my life, God says, you're looking at it all wrong. Turn it around this way and realize that it's something beautiful, a gift that I've given you. Whatever you feel like tugs on your heart, that you feel God has just messed up when he made you. Maybe it's emotional, maybe it's mental, maybe it's physical, and you think, God, why did you make me like this? You need to pray today. You need to read this passage, and you need to pray today, and you need to allow God's still small voice to speak into your heart and to tell you why he made you that way, to tell you how he's going to use that part of you for his glory, to allow his light to shine through you. You know that whenever in the Bible they wanted a light to shine through a vessel, that, a clay vessel, do you know what they did? They broke the vessel. Sometimes we feel broken. We feel like we're not whole, we're not complete, we're not the way we should be, God. And yet God's saying, look, I've put some imperfections in you. I've cracked your outer shell. I've made a way for the light to shine through. If a vessel is perfect, the way it was made in the Bible, if a vessel was perfect, the light couldn't shine through. God uses your imperfections. He uses the things we see as imperfections to shine through you. Go read this passage, Romans chapter 9, verses 16 through 33. Pray and listen for God's voice. Sometimes we get so busy talking to him, we don't sit still enough to hear him talk to us. Listen to his still small voice today and allow him to tell you how perfect and beautiful you are to him. I love you so much. Thank you for being here today. If no one has told you lately, you are loved, you are cherished, you are valuable, you have worth, and that worth is far above rubies. You have some wonderful guest speakers coming to you the next couple of days. Make sure you tune in, listen to them, and participate. I'll see you all on Sunday.